like to call the City Council meeting for June 3rd, 2013 to order. Please rise for the invocation.
Bow our heads. We thank you, God, for this day. We thank you how you continue to bless us and keep us. We ask you continue to bless our community and watch over us. Bless you, God. Please bless our leaders. Please be with each and every one of our council persons. Be with our staff members. Be with all the persons who continue to serve us in our community and to look out for us and try to make it a better place to live. Be with our mayor. Be with his staff. Continue to watch over them. We ask you continue to be with all the persons present. Be with their families. Help us to be one community together. We don't always have to agree, but we can be agreeable. We ask you to help us all work together as one. This prayer we ask in the name of the Lord and Savior Jesus the Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Sestavny.
Here.
Councilperson Gill.
Present.
Councilperson Glover.
Here.
Council President Sellers.
Here.
Council Vice President Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuel.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all councilpersons are here and except Councilperson Payne, absent.
Okay. Approval of the agenda. I think we need to add Mr. Hosey under department heads, if that is agreeable with everyone.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion and second to approve the agenda with the addition of Mr. Hosey under the department head reports. Any questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Minutes to be approved.
In your packet are the minutes from the May 20th meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 20th meeting. Are there any questions or comments?
Sorry,
That's okay.
just caught me right here as I was looking over it. Claims to be approved. This is a vote of 9-1, with Glover voting
Oh.
nay and Julie abstained, so that'd be 7-1.
7-1.
7.
7.
He abstained.
Oh.
He voted against.
What, so it'll be 7-1
7-1.
and 1. One abstention. One voting no.
7-1. Sorry.
Okay. So with that correction, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Claims to be approved, general fund.
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd like to, on page 9, remove under probation just Miller attorney, pro tem judge for $8,493.25.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Page 9.
Probation. What is that for? Do we know?
Well, I mean, it's listed as legal services. That's for providing legal work for the judge and the court. But the problem is that under the Indiana State Supreme Court decision about the expenditure of PUF money, probation user fee money, PUF money can only be used for actual supplement probation officer salaries or for purpose of supplementing or for new probation services. So if you providing legal representation of the judge, it has to come from a different fund. It can't come from probation user.
Okay.
Or we'd be violating the state Supreme Court.
Thank you.
And for, on page 10, we got a email from Les under Lloyd. Since the bond has been approved, we need to pull the $13,309.26 from the police headquarters and have that billed to redevelopment. Is there another one, Les?
There should be, it's just those two.
They've got the heat on them. We were freezing on that though. There was, Les, I just had that one. Did you
Yeah,
say
just the
there's
one for
another
13309.
I thought there was two of them.
Not under Lloyd, unless there was someplace else.
There was one on the prior list from the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what I was thinking about.
And we did pull that one.
I'm sorry.
We pulled that one,
We did.
didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
That one we could put it up. Like, maybe just put that in the redevelopment. Close the bond.
Connie, I had a question.
Hey, Les.
A couple of questions. Amy?
Yes.
Page 5, above Infotech, the transfer of funds for $100,000. Do you know what that is? And then
I
also,
believe-
the second question, under Infotech, it says internet access for the
Which
bridge security, $1,200.
Oh.
Can you address both of
I
those?
don't know about the Infotech,
Access for bridge
but
security.
the transfer is for gasoline. That goes into the, I believe, in the non-reverting fund for vehicle maintenance for fuel. I can check into the other one and let you know.
Do you know, Les, what that would be?
I'm thinking maybe a camera.
It says internet access for bridge
Yeah, I don't like-
security.
Again, I'm always skeptical of descriptions.
Yeah, I know.
So, I do remember Matt bringing up something about Board of Public Works, I don't know when I remember or not, there was something in reference to, camera, security camera on bridge. I'm not aware of internet access.
Well, that's going to be your live feed.
But that's,
Yeah,
your
that's
live
what I'm
security
thinking.
turn them on.
Do I have a motion?
Well, I've got something too.
Okay.
I was just waiting my
All
turn.
right.
On page 7, I've got the contracts here from Pro Media, and I went through the contracts, and it looks like the contracts is like $57,600. Of course, that does include River Stage or redevelopment. These are, you also have the Economic Development has one, and the River Stage has one. I added these up, and I'm not, I would like to really sit down and review these Pro Media contracts a little bit. I'm showing that if it says here on a monthly service, which is May, so if you figure that out, that's $115,200 a year. And then it's got the newsletter, and that comes up to 4 times a year, $43,300 and something dollars. And so I guess it really, it's not clear. I'm sure it's all in here, but it's not clear in this.
Right.
The monthly service, the 9,600, is actually 2 months. It's at 4,800. I know you can't tell from the description, but
And it's not for the newsletter either. It has the newsletter down there. That's just their monthly fee, right? Which is contracted under the Board of Public Works,
Amy, when
not
did
under
we,
Parks.
when did we approve under Parks for the monthly service fee to be paid for Pro Media? Because I do not recall that. Is that where we agreed to pull that? I don't think so.
So,
Well,
I know newsletter.
and another question too, and I just, I would like to get some people together on the council and talk about some of this stuff, because another thing that I'm not satisfied with, and I think a lot of you may or may not agree, but when there are projects in your district, and it is put on either Facebook or the city's website or whatever, that the council person, in my particular case, it may be me, and we've got 3 at large over there. I would hope the whole council obviously would be invited, I'm not saying that, but realistically, if something's in my district that deserves attention and it goes through, I think I should be notified. And if it's going to be on Facebook or any of the city services like that, social media, I think I would like for the whole council to be notified, but no less than me and the at-large. And I don't know how you guys feel about that, but it doesn't seem like the individual districts are getting their fair share of notifications in some of this. And I think I would like to be notified if it's in my district of these projects. Now, I may or may not be able to attend. I'm just saying, but if I could attend, I would love to attend. But I don't know with Pro Media, after looking at this, it really doesn't spell that out. And I did have a brief conversation with Scott earlier today about some of that, and I would like to see some of that language added in there. Now, not just for my district, but for all of our districts.
Well, the other issue we have is that this has not been appropriated to come out of this fund.
Yeah. We never appropriated.
That actually is where the appropriation is. We tried to move it.
It's where the money is, but that's coming from Leah's salary. That was moved till, that was...
The contract was with the Board of Public Works, and they said that the money was in the Board of Public Works.
Well, we tried to move the appropriation to the BPW budget earlier in the year, and that was denied, so.
And when that came up, that was one where I asked about it, and Les said there's no need to, because it was in the Board of Public Works, and we never moved it.
Okay.
Because originally when the money was placed in the Parks Fund, part of it was for salary.
It can't be paid out of there. It has to
Right.
be-
That's correct. Right.
Mhm.
So I mean, technically, if you're going to pay contractual services, that's different than a salary. There'd have to be a specific appropriation made by the Parks Authority. That's the purpose, is to use that money for contractual services.
Right. The budget was actually moved from 100 to 300 series on a previous ordinance this year. I'm not sure which one.
We did move it from 1 to 3, but that wasn't for that purpose. That's just because we knew we're not going to be using it as a salary. So this would have to be an additional appropriation, and it cannot be paid from this.
Well,
Is that correct, Scott?
In my opinion, I think there would have to be additional appropriation made.
well, I guess what I'm asking is, is to get some of the council together, and I want to review this. I think it's only fair that individually or all of us should be notified of any and all activities, ribbon cuttings, whatever going on in the city, and then if we can make it fine, if not fine. It doesn't really spell that out in here, and this Pro Media is a promotion of the city of Jeffersonville and all of its departments and council, mayor, it's all of us. So I guess I would like to pull both of these both of these out of here, especially since the dollars aren't adding up, and review this. And anybody's welcome. We can get together and try to tweak on this a little bit, and try to get this figured out to at least satisfy myself and some of the others. So I would like to pull both of them Pro Media payments out of there, and that's on page 7. Until we can get this adjusted and add the things in there, and then we can come back and revisit, because the numbers don't add up. So, anyway, I like to pull.
My only hesitation on pulling both is the newsletter has been printed and sent, it's done.
And that may have been the Parks newsletter that just went out. Could it be?
No,
it's
no,
too much.
no.
Okay, well,
Okay, then can we, in my motion, well, I don't know if that's not a motion, but the $11,000, if that's the case, that needs to be, if it's already been done, needs to be paid. But from here on out, we need to look at it.
Am I correct, Amy, if that is?
Correct.
Okay.
And is that for the newsletter that was sent out or something?
Yes, newsletter.
And the 9,600 is already for services rendered, correct?
Correct. I believe it's April and May.
And we can't pay it, though, because it's not been appropriated.
Need to, I mean, we can set up a meeting with whoever.
Well, they were here the last council meeting, and there was, no discussion
We
at all.
didn't know that this was being paid out of
Yeah, I didn't,
Parks.
I was going to say a little something, and Brian, I didn't have the contracts, and Vicki got me the contracts. So there was a lot of stuff I didn't have, or I would have asked him some questions, but I wasn't ready, I guess. So I'll take the blame for that. But well, then I guess just ask to pull the 9,600 and keep the $11,000 in place, since that's services that's already been done. And then
I do have a question, sorry to interrupt, Mike, but did we agree to pay for the newsletter out of Parks?
No, see, we
No.
never did. No.
Because
No.
I mean, I know we owe them, but let's pay them from the right fund, is what I would.
The appropriation under Parks is called newsletter, and I don't know what the intent was, but we assumed it was for this.
Unless it was for that one, I know we agreed that one-page mailing of all the events.
There
We
have been
changed
some
that.
things
But
done
not the
that
newsletter.
we have not known about that have been put in, so, with the accounting. been kind of screwy.
Well, I mean, if there is some question on, huh? Yeah, we just pay it next time. I don't think a couple weeks would matter until we can get that cleared up, if that's okay, and work on these, because the numbers don't even add up on the contract. So I would ask that we just hold them until the next time, and then we can get together and kind of review it, and get together with Scott or whomever, and see if we can make some adjustments on that.
Okay, so you want to hold both the $11,000 and the $9,600?
Yes, ma'am, until next time.
Okay, what about the infotech? Do we want to, how do we want to do that? That's the $1,200 for the
Which one was
camera and the
that?
bridge. That's the camera on the bridge, they said came before the Board of Public Works.
If they don't get paid, they'll come back to explain what it is.
Okay,
Or
all right.
you can find out.
Okay, do I have a motion then? 'Cause there's more than,
So it's 3 items then?
there's 3 items.
I'll make a motion, we approve the claims minus the,
5.
those are 5, minus those 5 items discussed. I know Infotech was one. Under Infotech, the security pros. Under Parks and Recreation, the $11,087 on Pro Media and the $9,600 on Pro Media. I don't remember what the other 2 are. Connie, what are the other 2?
Did you do the police station?
That was
No,
under
wait.
the page 9.
was one.
Yeah.
Oh, Lloyd for the $13,309, and then probation for the
Probation under page
8,493.26.
Yes.
So that's my motion.
A second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the claims with the removal of the items from, that Mr. Z just mentioned. Any more questions or comments?
I'm getting there.
What'd you say? They've got to get a new total for...
I've got 931, 919, 66.
66.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the total claims will be $931,919.66. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Can we do roll call, because I couldn't hear, I'm sorry.
Councilperson Smith,
Can you read the motion? Yeah, to approve
With those 5.
with the
With the
5
5
cuts?
out.
Yes.
Okay, yes. Okay.
Councilperson Zaslowski.
Yes. Yes.
Councilperson Gill,
What? Oh, aye.
Councilperson Glover,
No.
Councilperson Zeller,
Yes.
Councilperson Drews,
Yes.
Councilperson Owen,
No.
Councilperson Samuel.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Okay, Parks,
Parks total is $169,853.62.
Motion to approve as presented.
okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second, and I have a question. Why was the newsletter put under regular claims rather than from Parks, since it was supposedly coming from Parks?
I believe it's because Parks enters their own claims, so when we pull their list, it's separate from the list entered by accounts payable in the finance department.
Okay, I was just curious.
I've got a question on Parks.
Yeah,
Under
because it
page-
should come from Parks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So under web hosting, it's not a lot of money, it's $275, but under Pro Media, they do some website design and work as well. So I don't know why it's,
Parks has has all along, has its own webpage.
but, and that's fine, Les, but we're paying $4,750.
I don't dispute the Parks.
Yeah.
Parks is wanting to do their own thing. They
Okay.
do not want to do it.
Oh, well, Pro Media's has a contract with Parks.
Right.
Yeah, and I do think that they're in the process of designing a new, Parks has entered into a separate.
We're gonna give them another bill.
To design a new website for Parks, but up to this point, Parks has always had its own website.
I remember Paul.
I just don't want to be paying, I don't want to be,
But I don't remember
yeah,
us
doing
voting on
paying
that.
2 people to do the same thing.
Yeah, natural.
I mean, if you go to Parks, and you click on Parks, it will take you to a separate webpage that Pro Media has nothing to do, that Parks Department maintains themselves.
Okay, maybe we did. I can't remember. Oh, no, it's Riverside.
So did you just say
I want
that
mine.
Pro Media
That's
has
what it
a
was.
contract with Parks, and we just refused a claim for them to pay them out of parks.
It's two different line items,
I know.
two different line items. Sorry. Okay, I have oh, go ahead.
We did agree to go in with Pro Media on updating that website, that separate website, right?
That's correct.
What we didn't agree to, I think River Stage wanted their own
Yeah,
separate
they wanted
website, and we
three.
decided
Yeah,
no
we wanted
to
three, and we
use the
decided
one.
on one. Okay.
I just had one question on page 3 and also on page 5. There's Sampam screen printing, and it's basically for the aquatic center, and it's just making sure those are different orders. One's for almost 3,000, one's for 1,300. Just making sure
I
those
can
aren't,
double check that.
you know, the one invoice on another or something.
Do
Okay.
we sell these shirts, or what are they exactly? I'm not sure.
It's for all the pool staff.
Is that what Jeffersonville Aquatic Center, okay.
Okay, did I have a motion and a second?
Yes, you did.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Report of the clerk.
No, it's fine.
Mr. Crouch?
Hello. A couple of months ago, I requested a position added to the salary ordinance for a water resources coordinator before the commission, the council. You did that. We advertised for the position, interviewed, and hired. In the offer letter that we made to that person, we offered at that time, the minimum for that pay range of $17.98 per hour, but with the stipulation that we would request from the Drainage Board an increase, and thus an increased approval from this council. I've gone to the Drainage Board. They've agreed to that increase, and I'm now before you asking for the same thing. The original salary was $17.98 per hour. The requested salary is $20.20 per hour.
Which is not at the midpoint for that salary range?
No.
It's still below midpoint?
The current minimum for that salary range is now $18.85. So it's actually higher than what we're paying him because we hired him a few weeks ago, and I think at the last meeting you passed a new ordinance. The current midpoint is $23.56.
Okay. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the change in salary request for the drainage coordinator. Any questions or comments?
Andy, just for clarity for me, this individual that was hired, they were told when they came in they would be getting this higher amount?
They were told that we would request it from the Drainage Board and the council. They weren't promised anything.
Andy, does this clear up what Lynn brought before us last week, where he had people that were coming in higher that were actually being paid more under the new salary ordinance than people that have been there a couple of years? Is this going
To some degree, probably so. This offer letter was given to him, and the requested salary was discussed with him prior to this council passing a new salary ordinance. So that wasn't an issue at the time. It would be now, because you currently have him at an old minimum, which is lower than the current minimum.
And just for information, as liaison to the Drainage Board, I did ask Andy at a time, I think Connie was there when we were looking over claims, I did ask him to do it this way, to follow our ordinance where they come in at the minimum, and that we would adjust it if it was based on the drainage approval, because it comes out of drainage fees.
The employee understood all of the issues and approvals that would be required and knew that it was possible that both bodies could deny that. So.
Okay. Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Mr. Hosey?
Thank you all for inviting me here tonight. I don't come to these very often. We had a little fire last night, burned up one of my tractors. It's the only one we got that takes care of the ditches out on Charleston Road, Veterans Parkway and all that. It's a definite necessity. I've got some bids on some other stuff. That's when I come up with is about anywhere between $75,000 and $80,000.
What happened to it, Dave?
We don't know.
2 cats.
Electrical, but all thing we got on the tape up there is 2 cats running from it.
Darn cats.
I can't come up with a better excuse. That's it. Nobody was around it. It's been sitting there all week. But it burned up. It's an older tractor. We've been playing around with it, putting new parts on it and everything for 6 years, I know of. But it's probably worth about $10,000 or $15,000. But it's the only one we got. It's gone. Yeah, we may be able to get somebody to salvage it for about anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. So between the insurance and that, it'd probably scrape off some of that money. But this is something that we necessarily need. I've been asking for about 2 years trying to get one.
Amy, any idea where we can fund this from?
We have funds in edit or gaming. It's there. It's a matter of appropriating.
I used to have it, but I got it taken away that one.
Yeah, okay.
But I wouldn't be asking for it, but that hadn't happened. But right now, all we got is the trash can money we worked for.
Dave, what you're getting bids on are new?
Today's, yes, all new.
That's what I mean.
The one I've got,
I talked to David earlier too,
yeah.
and he's actually upgrading for the better. One thing is he's going 4-wheel drive versus rear-wheel drive, which will really help him because this is used off-road. It has got, I don't know if you call it a bat wing, but it's got the arm that swings out. And what he's done is,
20 feet.
yeah, he's going to increase his swing out to 20 feet and going to all-wheel drive tractor. And the prices, he's gotten a few prices. One of them's a New Holland, is $75 to $80. That's out of New Albany, and a John Deere is $106. And then the Kubota is about $100, $105. So it's a very competitive price. And the bad part about it is he needs it to cut grass tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's unfortunate, but.
How soon can we get it? I mean, if we had to...
I can buy a tractor tomorrow, but the arm put on it would be 2 weeks. They have to ship it down to Tennessee and put the arm on it, the blade and everything.
Dave, I thought New Albany was going out of business. New Albany Ford.
They are. New Holland bought them,
Oh, okay.
so we deal strictly with the
with
company, right out of Tennessee. So anytime I need parts for anything like that, I deal straight with them.
Okay.
Is this something that would have to be an additional appropriation?
Yes.
So
Mm-hmm. Yes. And we have to advertise for additional appropriations.
And I think tonight, due to the emergency, you could vote to approve an appropriation not to exceed a certain dollar amount, subject to the formality of the advertisement of the additional appropriation.
I'll make that motion that we approve this because of the emergency situation, not to exceed, I'm going to say $80,000, which he has here, so he can start the process of the tractor and ordering the swing arm and all that, and get the process done so he can get to work.
I'll second
It's
it.
still subject to
It's
formal advertisement.
Yeah, they've got to do
He's
the
gotta go through the
advertisements
process.
first.
Yeah.
We have
Approve this
to,
up front.
Well, just for clarification, I heard you say we got to ship it to Tennessee. With this 80,000, is that going to include enough money to get shipping charges and ship it back?
Yeah. He said between 75 and 80, and that's everything.
Okay.
They'll take it down there, put their arm on it, and ship it back to me as quick as they can.
Okay.
Right now, it's sitting in New Albany, the tractor itself, if you want to see it.
I have a motion and a second to allow Mr. Hosey to get the lawnmower, the tractor, not to exceed $80,000, but also it has to be advertised before that money
And
is
we'll have to come up with
appropriated.
the appropriate fund.
Right.
You want to take it out of edit?
No.
I mean, edit's, well, we can figure it out later, but edit's
Right.
fine with me, but
So
we'll
what
figure
I-
it out for the next meeting.
Okay, so all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
David, before you go, you know, when you talked about the arm coming out cutting grass, your worker just about got hit several times. I actually stopped and somebody came around me and didn't see him when they were on,
Hey,
between, I think it was River Valley and it was down that stretch. We might have a safety issue there. We may have to have somebody with flashing lights follow behind them or something, but
Well, on that old tractor, that's what I say, it didn't have
He's-
the lights and the signs and everything. This new one's got it all.
oh, that's good, because he had to come out because there was debris and stuff, so he had to swerve out, so cars were going,
Right.
okay, thank you.
All right, thank you all.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, unfinished business, Mr. Lewis?
Yes, this was, if you remember, we had the working group.
Mhm.
We talked about the working group needs to have another meeting to put something
Right.
together. So tonight, I would request that be tabled so we can have the working group to meet.
Again,
Yeah,
okay,
remember, we had talked about
Right.
before we bring it to the full board.
right, okay.
Is with the temporary freeze on credit cards, is this what?
Yeah, it's tabled.
I'll make that motion to table this one more time to allow for a second meeting.
Have a motion and a second to table implementing a temporary freeze on the city credit cards. Any questions or comments? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Kim Calabro.
You killed enough trees.
Oh, okay, so this one's the new one. Oh,
Jeez. Yeah,
nobody else is ever going to get comfortable.
Okay. We had some communication errors internally with who is going to be the keeper of this document. I have a version of Word, and Les has a version of Word that's not my version, and we lost a little bit of stuff, so this is the hot off the press official version of everything that was presented last month, with the exception of the piece that under section 2A, paragraph 2, it had said the chiefs of the police and fire department and assistant chiefs of police and fire are paid 1.5 and 1.4. They were listed in percentages, and it's just 1.5 and 1.4.
There was one more correction.
Yeah, I'm getting to that.
Oh, okay.
If you go to section 2H, I think it had said $530 or $500 for the stipend per month. We changed that to $50
Yeah.
per month.
There's one more. Under section 2C. Okay, so maybe have in there subject to contract.
No, that's in the salary administration policy,
That's
where it said, as business needs dictate, the HR director will, that piece that,
No. This was under 2C, the longevity pay. So Council President Glover asked that...
I didn't have that in my notes.
...be added in there. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilperson Zastovny, excuse me, Councilperson Glover. Councilperson Zastovny. Put that in there.
you look like I did. What was supposed to be in there?
Subject to contract. We didn't want to put it here, it's really subject to how the contract goes.
Is that not here?
I don't remember, I don't remember that.
Or is it? I don't see it.
On the old one.
We need to remove under city court non-reverting fund the clerical PT. It can't be paid out of that.
Where are you at?
Yeah, where are you? It's on the second page under city court non-reverting fund. Scott can add to that if he needs to. City court probation services. The city court non-reverting fund, it's got a clerical PT under
Underneath
it.
that, Kim.
What's the CL stand for, you know?
Common law.
Common law, yeah.
Yeah, I was asked to look into that because that non-reverting fund by ordinance, I think it goes back to ordinance 2000 OR 24, alcohol education program fees go into that non-reverting fund. Just last year in 2012, the Indiana State Board of Accounts did an audit of Clark County courts with the circuit court number 3 specifically regarding their alcohol education fee fund and the uses that those were being used for, various employees and other parts of the courts. And it was very clear that you can only pay for employees that are part of an alcohol education program. Anything directly for the alcohol education program, you can't use it to pay other salaries of other employees unless they're part of the alcohol education program. Our county had an audit that significantly changed the funding of the courts from these non-reverting fee funds, moving all of them back to the general.
But if the person is hired as a clerical part-time position and they're working within that program, it can be used for that, correct?
But that's not what...
But that's, my understanding, that's not what this position is. The alcohol education program is not day-to-day stuff you do during court. It's a program separate from the court general secretarial duties.
And this has not been budgeted in our regular budget, so it's a non-funded position.
So do you want to take that out, Lisa? You said? Okay.
But back to section 2A regarding the pay for the chief still agree, correct.
Okay.
And you have two options, however you all want to do it. You can either make it 1.5 or 1.4 times the base pay for a patrolman. Do it that way, or you could simply say 150% and 140% of the base pay. But as it's written now, 1.5 or 1.4, that doesn't, that doesn't clarify it.
That's what I said today.
Now, keep in mind that this has been incorrect since 2001, so,
Yeah.
The way I read it says, police and fire pay 1.5, 1.4 of the base pay. Is that?
yeah, but I don't believe, that doesn't, I just went over and asked Amy, I says, what does that mean? And she agrees it either needs to be, you make it times the base pay, or you can revert to the percentage and make it 150% or 140%. Whatever you all feel would be, accomplishes the same thing, it's just, as it reads right now, no one's going to know exactly.
Is our intent to just pass this on second reading, and then these can be cleaned for the last reading?
Yes.
Very good.
Is that okay? Is there any time?
I've just inherited this document, so I'm learning as I go, so I apologize, but yeah, because we talked about this today, and I thought, I was under the impression we're going to keep it at 1.5 or 1.4.
So we're going to go to percentages.
Put 1.50%, you could put 0.015, or you could put 150%. I mean, you may put all three. Is that really clear? Do whatever you want me to.
No, I mean, I understand, I have to say technically the language, you either have to put something times or percentage. 1.5 doesn't say what's about percentage.
We needed a percent, so, I mean.
That's an easy change to make.
Yes, it is
Yeah, that's an
very
easy
easy.
I
change.
agree that it needs to
But if
be
it's
clear.
clear now to us, is it going to be as clear a
There'll be
year
more
from
changes
now
in 2
when-
weeks, don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
It's like fourth
I
grade.
guess I'm destined to come to these meetings now.
Real quick, going back to the clerical PT position.
Can we finish
in
this
city
one first,
court.
so that
I'm sorry?
can we finish this one so that I know what I'm supposed to do? since I
No, I'm
missed the
sorry,
other one?
moving on, no.
Are you going to instruct me on what language, or?
It accomplishes the same thing, either 1.5, 1.4 times base pay, or do the 150, 140.
So change of to times.
Yeah.
It's an easy change. I say do it.
Hey, when I was in the fourth grade, they taught me the of. Man, I know it's been a Supreme Court says not.
Okay.
It's not budgeted.
Mr. Glover, okay.
So you're going to work on that? Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted, on the clerical PT position, when I talked to Judge Pierce today about this, because I was kind of confused about it, can I get an explanation of him from what this position actually does?
I didn't know he was here.
Evening, members of the council. And I want to apologize, I found out about this today, okay? The position was originally created to just assist with probation staff needs, filing. It's literally a clerical position that handles the the scheduling and so forth. There's a lot of scheduling goes on with this alcohol program. They come in, they pay their money, and they're scheduled into the program. Once they actually attend the program, the lists are given back to us, and we check them off and put them through the files and like that. So there is a lot of work that goes through the alcohol awareness program that was done by this position. The position was created before the issue that Mr. Lewis has brought up. It was brought up in county, on a county issue. I would like to say I'm kind of disappointed that no one contacted me regarding this. The resolution that we talked about back in 2012 said, whereas the Jeffersonville Common Council is desirous of creating a more efficient and transparent government. Guys, I deserve to know about this. If it's not proper under that section, then I wish someone would have said, hey, if this position's important to you, then maybe we need to put it in a different part of the budget or something, okay? I don't know what I've done to deserve this treatment, or I can't even have someone call me and tell me about this, but I'm a little offended by that. The position is created for high school kids, usually on summer break. They come in here for a couple hours a week, do some filing for me, help them out. They're either interested in court, or maybe they've been in some trouble and I want to help them out. College kids, freshmen, sophomores come in when they're not in class. It's literally part-time. They come in for a couple hours a day, keep a calendar. You can check my budget. We've not spent much money on it at all. It's really a simple procedure. If the council would like me to modify it so it's only worked, it only goes into the alcohol awareness program, I can do that. Once again, transparency, communication would have been great here.
Well, Judge, when did you come before us saying you wanted to fill this position?
I'm sorry?
When did you come before or send us saying that we didn't know this position was even needed?
It's a part-time position. I feel as needed. Whenever I get the opportunity that I need it. During summer, a lot of times I like to do it because I have vacation, staff going in on vacation, so I don't keep it full.
This has been on there.
Forever.
Yeah, we didn't think it was going to be filled, so we just wanted to move it where it needs to be paid out.
No, I was told it's being eliminated.
There's not anybody in this position right now.
No. I just hire it every once in a while whenever I decide that I need the extra help, like during the summer or if I run into a kid that needs some help.
So if you need this position, when you're ready to hire this position, can you not come back before the council and if it's not been approved, so it's paid out where it needs to be paid out of? Because most likely it's going to have to be coming out of the general fund.
Well, I've not even had a chance to review the issue here. Once again, this obviously has been going back and forth between everyone for a couple of days, I would imagine, and I had no idea. No one contacted me to say, this is going to happen, this is going to change, how can we accommodate this? Is the position necessary? If you guys want to eliminate the position, then fine. The issue is...
It's not eliminating a position, it is not paying something where it cannot be paid out of.
But we're here to approve a budget, correct? I mean, the salary
No,
ordinance?
this is a
The
salary
Ordinance has what fund, Judge, that's coming from.
Right.
So, to be clear, and this was interest you as the judge to make sure that all the payments are going from the right funds. Because in the past, things were done a certain way. State Supreme Court has come out with rulings that illuminate how the PUF money is to be spent, where no one's violating that, whether it's a judge or a council on the appropriation. And then last year, the State Board of Accounts had a 51-page audit of the Circuit Court 3, and you may want to talk to Judge Weber about this, because this affected his court. Prior to him was Judge Fleece, where, and no one's saying the intent is not bad, because the intent was to use these funds so the general fund would not have to be used. Everyone understood what the intent was. Problem is, when you read the statutes, the alcohol education program fee can only be spent for, if you're paying to pay someone's salary, it's directly the instructor or people that are working exclusively on that alcohol education program. Because Tier 3 try to do the same thing, just their general employees, if they touched a file where people went into the program, the judge tried to argue that that was a legitimate fee. And I'll give you this audit. I mean, you probably need to see this, Judge, but there's various expenses that were being paid from that fund that it was almost $1 million now that the county, that they have to use the general fund and not use non-reverting funds, specifically including alcohol education fund. And when you read it, the statute which creates a county alcohol education program is the same statute that creates the city alcohol program. The audit applies the same way to a city alcohol education program. So no one's trying to single you out. We're just trying to make sure that no one violates the expenditure of money, whether it's this council approving an appropriation that's not correct, or the judge himself, okay? Because the county, and I've asked you to speak with Judge Weber. He'll explain this to you. I
don't need to explain to me, thank you.
Well, I'm just saying as a friendly advice, okay? Because I think Judge Weber will help eliminate this. that this audit was very specific and very serious, and there was discussions with the Judicial Center too about the expenditure of this money. I mean, every attempt was made to try to legitimize the expenditure of this money to offset the general fund. It cannot be done. So I think what we're trying to do is cover everybody, the court and the city council together on the expenditure of the money to make sure it's done appropriately pursuant to law.
Judge, do you know how much was spent on this particular item, maybe last year?
Last year, my guess
Beginning
is, I don't think any was spent last year. If it was in the very beginning of the year. 2010 and 11, maybe some 2009. I really don't use it that often. Like I said, I would have liked to have had the chance to know this was going on so I could review this 51-page document and maybe have someone educate me on it
And I think
so that I could look through it. Other than that, that's it.
we're going to pass this on the second reading
Yeah.
tonight, so there'll be time for review.
Yeah, and I'm not opposed to doing that, since that's what you do with the money, as long as it's coming out of the right fund. If we have to take it out of the general fund or just take out a specific amount, if it's only part-time for the summer, I'm not opposed to doing that.
That's fine.
So,
Alex, I
but
appreciate
if you could,
that.
if you could let us know, like in the past when you have used it, so we have a general idea
Of
how much money we
money
need
will
to,
That's
we
no
need to
problem.
put in
I
it.
guess, and I can probably accommodate it to where it does come out of the appropriate fund and does not come out of general fund. I can make it so that my actual probation staff does less work with the alcohol awareness stuff, and then I can end load it for the new part-time person. That's the whole idea. If I'd had the notice here and the transparency, I would have been able to be more prepared. I will go through this. The next reading will be on, 2 weeks from tonight, correct?
Right.
So then I'm told that I can come here and address the council and
Just let us
on
know
this
how much
issue.
it is. If you want to shoot us out an email too.
Well, as far as how much it is, I don't know that, if I can keep it within the non-reverting fund, I don't think it matters how much it is, does it? Maybe it's a
Well,
part-time position that's going to
As
vary.
long as you can keep it in the non-reverting fund, if that's possible, then it, yeah, I would not think so. Scott?
Well, and you have to make sure this position then is working exclusively for the alcohol education program.
No, I understand that. I'm sure the position will be policed accordingly.
They can't be working on other work
Yeah.
functions.
Judge, I'll tell you too, that your remarks are unfounded here because I haven't been discussing this for 2 days, I promise you.
Well, all I know is there's an email sent out that, and I was not on the list, and I would imagine if it involves my employees or my potential employees, I should have been informed of it. I'm just asking.
Well, I mean, your disappointment to me is unfounded because I haven't.
I didn't say I was
haven't been.
disappointed in the council as a whole. I just said I'm disappointed I was not sent an email. So that's
Okay.
all I'm saying. So I don't know where it originated from. I don't know whose idea it was to address this issue without contacting me first and getting my opinion. So, like I said, wherever it originated, I would have liked to be involved in the process from the beginning.
I called today because I wasn't familiar with what this position was, and Nathan kind of sent out an email and said, hey, what is it? So I just said, well, I'll go to the
Oh,
source
that-
and find
I
out
forgot about
exactly
that
what it
today.
was. And when he explained it to me, it sounded like a great program that we can utilize, for the people that he described, and, I
Yeah,
just
but it's
I just
obviously
wanted
not
some
used
clarification.
often, but we can use it.
But that's why the case, why make such a big deal out of it
Right.
if it's not used that often? So, anyway.
Exactly. Thank you. I will readdress this in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thanks, Judge.
Is there anything else?
So what was decided on
Well-
that? Are we going to,
I say just put the 1.4 and 1.5 times
I'm talking about the,
the base pay.
what do we decide on?
Can we just move it under the city court instead of non-reverting fund?
Let's just give him a chance to deal with
together.
it. We can just leave it until next time.
Okay.
So we need a motion to approve on the second reading?
With those changes.
With those changes.
those
We get all the
changes.
changes marked there, Vicki?
Vicki was on top of it.
I don't get them.
She knows what they are.
She knows what they are.
She's calling them out.
Well, I think there was one more that on the probation, the probation fund using the supplement the court reporter/officer. It's one of those things, again, the United States Supreme Court says probation user fee money.
Where are you at?
Okay, well, this is something that I was going to bring up with Amy, because we have to appropriate money. Because what happened when we did the budget, 51% of the probation user fees, the probation people, has to come out of our general fund, and 49% we're going to take out of PUF, because we decided that the majority needs to come from the regular budgets. This really doesn't affect
Well,
salary
I mean, in
ordinance.
this ordinance.
Can you tell me where you're at?
In the salary ordinance? Okay.
Yeah, on the salary ordinance.
Under
Okay.
city court probation
Right,
services.
that's what we're talking about? Yeah, page 2, it says city court probation services, there's a court reporter slash office manager on the version that I have.
And I'm only going with what I have been given. I've not changed anything other
No, I
than...
know, I'm saying that if they're talking about proposed changes for the third reading, I'm saying that under the United States Supreme Court decision, you cannot use PUF money except for probation.
Well, I was going to talk about that during Amy, because I think there's $4,000 coming out of that, paying your court reporter right now out of PUF funds, and we were just going to move that over to the general fund.
Yeah, but I'm saying is if you're going to move on for this ordinance, the prevalence, I think that has to be taken out of probation fees. You can't use probation money to pay a court reporter's salary or an office manager's salary.
I don't see it being under, am I in the wrong place?
Page 2, see,
You're in the wrong place.
Oh, sorry.
Right up from the non-reverse.
probation user fee might only be used.
You're in
for
the wrong-
Probation officer's salary.
Oh, let's see, second page. Let me help you this time.
Actually, yeah, please do. I double-sided some of them to save money since I don't have any office supplies left.
Right here.
Or maybe
Court
page
reporter,
Oh,
under
Stealing paper
probation
from people.
services.
oh, was that really Ken? Because it seems to be on here it seems to be on here in two places.
I mean, it was actually put in there in two places because when it originated, the office manager, it was originally one large office that had probation and city court both
Right.
involved. So I apportioned part of it from PUF, and then part of it, I think, was coming from general fund. The portion that came from PUF was primarily the small percentage that went towards the office manager part, and the portion that came from general fund was the majority portion, which involved the court reporter. And
Right.
now I'm especially low on staff because I think we've had this discussion before. I thought I was going to maintain 2 staff employees, and that was changed without my knowledge. So I now just have 1 court employee and no probation secretary. So I have 2 probation officers being required to do the entire work of the entire probation office.
Right.
With no clerical staff, no extra assistance whatsoever. So clearly, my office employee, my court office employee is having to take some of the probation load. So I think
Well-
it's justified at this time.
But then I'm seeing the city court, is that the same thing? What is the city court bailiff court reporter? Because it's on here twice, that's why I'm confused.
Right, that's why there's a percentage, isn't there?
But we can't pay her out of PUF, so that's why I was going to ask Amy when she gets up because we've got to appropriate money just to have that taken out of general fund.
Right, and I've not seen this new copy. That's right, the percentage on the city court probation services was 11.5% of her entire salary, is what I
You're saying
believe.
she's doing 11.5% of her job is PUF allowable?
Was the probation allowed, right. And so that was essentially the office manager portion that kind of worked out, the math is about the same. And then so the remaining, 88.5%, and don't make fun of my math if it's wrong, right, 88.5% would have been her primary general fund position. Now, that's probably due to change based, we all know how I feel about the bailiff statute, so I'll have to address that at some point. But like I said, right now, that's 11.5% is certainly, I think, earned because she's
Well, we're
having
not
to go
saying
off
about
probation
not doing away with it, we just want to take it out of the general fund. That's all we're saying, to move that.
work. I'm pretty sure, I mean, these are now to supplement, not supplant, right?
Well, but when you read the United States Supreme Court ruling, it talks about you cannot use it to fund any sort of new, you can't use it to replace other funding of probation services. So if it was done one way, you can't use it to replace prior funding. It's only for, if it's a new probation service, or if it's to fund an increase in the salaries of probation officers. So unless this is something new, it's a new service, you can't use the PUF money to replace prior existing funding.
So-
We're both attorneys, we can argue about this all night.
But the point is, she's not going to lose her salary?
It's a new position now, since I've lost all my probation secretarial staff.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Right.
I mean, I've lost all my staff, so I have to create an extra
But-
position for
and-
some
and-
clerical work.
We're not talking
Okay.
about creating a position, we're talking about the funding.
Right, funding it. So anyway, she's not going to lose any money. It's just a provision of where it's going to come.
It's an internal.
It's an internal thing, so we'll take care of it. And she's not going to lose any pay.
Does this need to be changed? State court reporter, office manager,
But Scott's point is, does it need to be changed in this, since we're going to approve this on the second reading? Hopefully.
Yeah, I think so. I think it needs to come out, and it needs to come out of the general.
How do we get clarity on that? If we're able to, almost 11.5% save the general fund and it's totally legal, then I'd be supportive of saving 11.5%.
According to our attorney, and that's who we need to listen to, because he's our attorney, he's saying it's not legal, and that's who I'm going to listen to. I'm sorry, it's no offense against you, it's just,
course not.
he's the one who represents us. So,
Yeah, I mean, with all due respect, and I've been through this with the county council, the Supreme Court has been very clear, and this applies to city courts too. So, as a council, we cannot be involved in appropriating the money incorrectly, because we're going to be liable, and the judge is liable, the court's liable. The county courts have been through this with the probation fund and the alcohol education fund. I'm just trying to do my job. And the Supreme Court ruling and State Board of Accounts rulings are as clear as day. There's no interpretation to be made.
If I may, this opinion came out in 2007, okay? Now, right after the opinion in 2007, I believe we had 3 months still under Judge Lewis, where I'm sure there were PUF budgets approved. Since then, there have been, I don't know how many city council attorneys. I know a couple of the city council attorneys that were here. For the past 4 years, I've had my PUF budgets approved. The State Board of Accounts have approved them. The city council attorneys have approved them, and we've had no problems. Okay? There's been no problems whatsoever. We've had several attorneys review these. This case, now the new State Board of Accounts, the thing from 2012 where I was asked to go talk to Judge Weber, you're right, that's new. But this other case that we're referring to, the Supreme Court case, was in just 2007. So we've had several attorneys review this, several attorneys approve my budget, and so forth. Okay? I'm sorry, I think it's appropriate. The bottom line is, if it's not, these are services that have to be paid for anyway. If it's not, I don't know. I've not read case law on this issue, but if it's not appropriate, the State Board of Accounts is going to say this is inappropriate, it's going to come out of the general fund anyway. That's the way I've always looked at it. If I can help, if I can save money legally with it, then why not do it? And if it's not, there's no malice. There's no negative intentions here. It's trying to help the community, just like bringing these kids in here, just like all the other services I try to provide. It's trying to help the taxpayers. And if I can do that, I'm going to try. That's the bottom line.
right.
So therefore, if I'm sitting here and I think, well, this makes sense to me, I think I can justify that it's supplementing some services, why not try it? If the State Board of Accounts that reviews my budget every year, it's been scrutinized, if they keep approving it, then I don't really see a problem with it. If they say, look, Judge, you probably shouldn't have done this, then you better believe that I'm going to call and say, we're changing this immediately. Several of you have been on the council since I've been elected judge. There was the issue where the budget came up funny, 3 or 4 years ago. I immediately hired an outside auditor. They came in, they fixed the whole thing. I notified the State Board of Accounts immediately. Okay? I used to tell all my staff, the only thing, do not get caught with a penny of any money being misplaced at all. Be transparent about it with the State Board of Accounts. You can talk to the people with Charlie Pride, Karen Kelleher. I called them constantly.
Judge,
So,
this has nothing, as a council person, I am not going to approve something as a council person if there is any chance that something's inappropriate. I'm not going to pass something and wait for somebody to tell me that wasn't appropriate or this is appropriate. I'm going to find out before I pass anything. That is no offense to you. I don't understand how a lot of this stuff gets twisted around and turned around. I'm sitting here and I'm like, what? It has nothing to do with trying to take a position away. It's just trying to make sure that things are properly paid out of the funds, legally and appropriately need to be paid out of.
I'm not talking about taking the position away. I'm not offended by that. I'm just saying for the past 5 years it's been approved. And
I can't go by what's been done in the past. I know it's a council person sitting here now. I want to be darn sure that it comes out of the proper fund, or I won't vote for it. And I'm not going to argue anymore about this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's
All right.
it.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
So we have a couple of changes to make before we pass on the second reading.
More changes?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, no.
Can we briefly go through what we've got?
Thank you, Mike,
Yes.
yes.
I've
Let's start
got
on
a
the
lot of
first
scribbles
page.
here.
Or
Okay, on that one, where it said City Court Probation Services, Court Reporter Office Manager, 11.5%. I'm keeping that. That's staying there.
I think we're going to move that to the general fund.
The
It's
total-
over here under City Court, Bailiff Court Reporter. And then I think we'll hold off on the clerical non-reverting fund until Judge Pierce can get back with us on that. And then the other one is the 1.5 and 1.4 times, that's after the
We're going to take of out.
section. Yeah, take of out.
So what, how's it
Times
going
the
to be
base
worded?
pay.
Are paid
1.5 and 1.4 times the base pay for a patrolman. Is that the
Times.
correct wording?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Base pay of patrolman.
times the base pay.
And you want me to leave off the or 150% / 140%?
Right.
And then on the next page, paragraph 2, section 2C, where I neglected to indicate subject to contract. You just want that at the end, right?
You just say like, union longevity is subject to the union contract.
Where's that?
Under, section 2C.
I see that.
So strike the whole, that whole sentence where it's starting with union contract. Just say, union longevity is determined by, or is subject to, union contract.
Strike the whole sentence?
Yep.
Union.
You can change it.
Ed, are you saying strike that and replace it with?
Well, whatever's negotiated by the contract is what we're gonna pay them. That's my meaning.
Longevity pay will be determined by contract?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate, because if something changes in the contract, we're in negotiations now.
Right.
We don't want this clause to conflict with whatever may be.
If you read the first sentence, it says all non-union contracts. So then the final, then the next sentence starts with the union
contract.
union. So
Gotcha. Okay.
all the non-union folks are already determined, their longevity is determined in the first sentence. So the second sentence says, union employees are subject to their union contract, or union longevity is subject to the union contract.
You good for that?
Yeah, he clarified it because I didn't see the non-union at first.
Then
Okay, are there any other changes?
Under section 2H, we had already made the change to, I think it had said $500 or $530. And it's
Yeah, that's
actually
changed in here already, to receive 50. I like the 500, I was gonna get a city cell phone.
So maybe before the next council meeting, maybe Connie, maybe you and I and Vicki could sit down, and Amy, and make sure that we've
Got these all together?
So we want to approve
Anyone make a motion?
second reading?
On the second reading only.
Motion with the,
Do you have a second? I'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve ordinance 2013 OR 12 on the second reading
With those changes.
with those changes. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
thank you for your patience.
Okay, Dennis Julius, new business.
actually Peggy Duffy is here. We asked her at the last meeting, the last couple of meetings, we've talked about the Glossbrenner Garden there at the corner of Spring and Chestnut. And if you remember, at the last meeting, I said we would ask her as a representative. And we've got Mr. Sekula here from Historic Landmarks, who are the two entities that represent this deal. And I thought it'd be good if we got them both here to discuss, tell us, enlighten us, do whatever, so we can put some finality to this thing. Miss Duffy, as you came in, you said, I'm Sugar Sunshine or something as you came in?
I did.
All right.
And just to clarify, we love everyone. We love the council. We love absolutely everyone. City Pride thinks everybody is fabulous. Just put that on the record. For those of you who are not familiar with Glossbrenner Garden, you should be. I know we have a vast metropolis here, but this is a nice little area, a little pocket park in downtown Jeffersonville. It was formerly was it the second tallest building in Jeff, or was it the tallest? Second tallest. It was a dry goods building that was torn down, and so it was made into this beautiful little park. City Pride has been maintaining this park since 2005. All volunteer labor. Depending on the needs, we will put money into it. Typically, it's money that we raise at River Breeze. I brought photographs because, as it happened, this morning at 7 a.m., we had 13 employees and I think 6 kids from Steel Dynamics. In case I haven't mentioned lately, we really love Steel Dynamics. You all should really love Steel Dynamics. Those guys came in and they worked, they planted 300 bulbs for us. They cleaned up the garden, they added mulch, they did all sorts of things. I have pictures and I'm going to pass them around for y'all. As I said, we started maintaining this garden in 2005. As it kind of transitioned, we had discussions with Historic Landmarks about the fact that this was owned by Landmarks, the city was maintaining it, what was the appropriate thing to do here, and we started talking 4 years ago about transferring the ownership back to the city since the city was maintaining it, and we embarked on this journey of trying to figure out how to do that, and we thought we were there. Last year, Landmarks, we had some discussions with Mr. Lau and with Landmarks, and Landmarks actually their board voted in December to go ahead and do the transfer, contingent upon a couple of provisions. The last conversation was in January. I had a long conversation with Mr. Lau about those provisions. And we said basically everything that was in this were what we were doing anyway and what we wanted. And the biggest concern is that in any transfer, and this is Landmarks as well as City Pride, that there is no possibility that someone will get a wild hair and say, you know what, this would be a great spot for a fill in the blank. McDonald's, a whatever, and it's not going to be a garden anymore. So we wanted to make sure that it had the same protections that they did and say that this is how it's going to proceed. Like I said, Mr. Lau and I had this conversation in January. He was refining some of the language on the legal document to send to Landmarks, and that was where we left it.
We've never seen it, it's never been received by us, so we're, very willing to consider the donation to the city, very appreciative of what City Pride has done to help maintain it. Obviously, the garden made sense to us to maintain when we owned the Grissomore house next door. Since we've sold that, we're not really connected physically to the space any longer and felt that it was time to consider another option, and City Pride's interest in it we thought was a viable option for talking about ownership with the city.
And what we had talked about was, and I think Peggy may want to enter into this conversation, was whether if we took ownership, the city, do we want to do that under parks? Or Les, have you done some work on this?
I'm somewhat familiar with it. I knew there was discussion about transferring it. Personally, I thought it had been done until about a month or so ago.
Our only concern, or not concern, the only point of discussion we wanted to have as far as transferring it under parks is we wanted to make sure that if in fact that happened, that we don't want to step on anybody's toes. We also want to make sure that we can still do the things that we've been doing. We want to make sure we didn't ever end up with any cross agendas where someone who was in charge of parks said, okay, anyway, now we're going to do this, and City Pride, y'all can go along your merry way. So that was, not that we've had any severe problems with parks in the past. We've had a couple of instances where we were doing something and that got to be subject to somebody's ideas of what should happen. So we're most interested in kind of maintaining the status quo, which is what we've been doing. This is not a budgetary issue because, as I said, it's not like we're going to add anything to Parks' budget. All this is volunteer labor. We've had everything donated.
You all want the property, I can really use parks and everything you all choose.
It seems to me that City Pride and Landmarks has had a pretty nice relationship as far as the property is concerned in the past. I'm not sure what benefit the change is going to bring.
Well, from our perspective, obviously, we don't feel a need to continue to own it. Our focus, our mission is historic buildings, as you all know. It's not maintaining pocket parks. I mean, at the time, we got involved with this effort because it was a early revitalization effort for Spring Street, and we're certainly kind of moved beyond that at this point. So our ownership of it is not something that we feel that we need to continue. Obviously, if we do own it, we will continue to work with City Pride as we have, but as most of you know, our office is a two-person office, and Laura and I don't necessarily have the time to be over there pulling weeds all the time. We did do that for several years, and didn't do it as well as we could have, I think, or should have, given our time constraints with all of our other obligations. So we felt this is a wonderful relationship. It just felt like city ownership should be something that should be considered here.
In addition, we also have from our perspective, it's not like we call and say, we're going to go in this week and weed, or we're going to go in this week and add a load of mulch. So we do have the slight complication of we are making our own decisions to go in and do something on somebody else's property.
And this is sort of an informal agreement we have where they don't have to ask us for all that, but it's something we'd like to obviously get solidified and
If we put this in the deed, it's forever, correct? My only concern is making a commitment for 20 years down the road. We don't know if, we've had one huge fire downtown, and if it wipes out a whole block, it may be more advantageous at that time, for whoever's in the leadership of the city, to be able to access that property besides having it as a garden. And I mean, I'm very supportive of this, but I would be curious about putting a time limit, 20 years or something. I don't even know what that does, but I'm just.
I take it back. We don't love you.
Okay. That's okay.
I knew that was coming.
I just, committing a corner of your downtown for forever is a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean,
But
I don't know. If
Historic Landmarks owns it, we wouldn't have any say-so with it.
That's right. That's right. I fully agree with that.
And they had said that they, or from what I understood, that they would want in the deed that if it wasn't going to be a park, that it would go back to Historic Landmarks.
Exactly.
So that answers that question, in my opinion. And that could be recorded in the deed.
At that point, if they decided financially they needed the money or wanted to take that piece of property, using your scenario, something burnt there and we needed that piece of property, but what if we, halfway down the block could swap out a piece of property and make it a park?
Sure.
That would keep that still park theme or garden theme, if worst case scenario.
I was unaware about that part of the agreement. I haven't seen.
Am I wrong, Peggy?
No, you're correct.
Okay.
it's hard to predict what the future will hold, and
sure.
there certainly may be a scenario like that where, obviously we're about downtown revitalization and improving the community, so if something,
The other thing, I don't think this board is looking to give the parks anything else to take care of. So I think you're safe in that you would need to take care of it.
Oh, I would.
Yeah.
We're all for it.
Greg didn't take care of it now.
No.
But what I'm saying, Peggy, is I think right now, we're not looking for any more burden to put on the Parks Department.
We are absolutely 100% with you.
So, knowing that, I think the parks looks to be the most equitable place to put it. Anybody else?
Or, if parks, I understand the parks is burden as it is, if you really want to take this over, you can just deed it to the city, and then there's never a question that parks should be maintained.
It's fine.
If City Pride ever,
yeah.
5, 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to say, well, this is in the parks name, why?
I'm not sold on parks, I'm just trying to facilitate what.
That was our concern, was that then this enters into the whole discussion of parks being strapped for money and people and everything else. We're your only department that's going to come and ask for more responsibility.
I think Ed brought something up, I'll throw it out there, and Kelly, what about the UEZ? I mean, I'm not trying to bounce it around, but the UEZ owns Market and Spring Street. We bought the parking lot, last year or so?
I would say that's fine, but in 2019, when the UEZ expires, we're going to have the same issue.
Okay, it expires.
I didn't realize it
May
expired.
have talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it. I want to make it work. I think it's a beautiful little facility. It is going to be a key because of the Chestnut Street. We're getting ready to spend over $500,000 on that revitalization and some stuff. And I mean, I'm good with however the council, if it's parks, if it's city.
Me too.
However it fits is fine with me.
Why don't we, Les has offered to try to do the legwork on this. Why don't we just allow Les to do that and bring it back to us, and we will go with the city, put it under the city's name, not the parks.
Great. That's fine.
Is that an okay? And then we can
City
change
Pride
that when he
come
comes
up
back
with
if we
the
have
city.
to, but, cool. Is that okay?
That's fine. I think if we make this conveyance happen, I think all we need is a resolution with the Board of Public Works.
Okay.
And we'll need to make sure to put that on our insurance too.
Yeah, and also with the covenant on
Yep.
green space, public green space.
Right, and, yeah, we've got some conditions on that
Yeah.
enumerated in the letter.
Yeah, whatever it is.
And you said Les, this will come before the BPW?
So do we need a motion, or, I mean, what do we need?
I don't think we're gonna-
No, we're good?
No, I think.
I think what I would like to hear is, I would like to hear a support from the council before it comes before the BPW, because I don't want 10 years down the road for them to say, well, Councilman Glover's the one that voted for it. So, there's 9 of us up here, if everybody's in support of it, then let's hear it, you know?
I'll make the motion.
Make a motion in support of allowing the BPW through Les to work this out and accept the property for the city.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for Les to work with City Pride and with Indiana Landmarks to turn this property over to the city. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Thank you all so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Dennis Julie, Safety Town.
I got an email from Tony Decker, who is out of town, and he is, Tony wears a lot of hats in the city. He's also on City Pride, but he is a fireman, and they take care of Safety Town. They have raised, and Amy, you might bear me out on this, Safety Town donation fund has $3,433.22. Tony was going to be out of town. They would like to buy a four-way signal for $1,295, a railroad crossing for $595 plus a $50 bill, and the balance of that to go towards building the Safety Town storefront. And what Tony's asking is, and I think he had corresponded a little bit with Amy, that they needed to come to the council meeting. He asked me if I'd present that, and that's what I'm here to do. So I have pictures of the stop signs or stop lights and different things if anybody wants to see them. But he would like to take all out of that fund and put it into Safety Town.
With that lighting and package, would that be, where would the electric bill be set to?
I don't know where Safety Town goes through. Probably the fire department.
I don't think it has any lighting.
I don't think so either.
Well, I wonder if these are 12 volt.
Oh, okay.
They're for the little kid things.
Okay,
They're not the
They're
big
12 volt.
lights.
I was thinking traffic light. Okay.
Yeah.
Only thing I'll add to that is, I know somebody who may be able to get some of the railroad stuff, so.
There you go.
Okay.
Hook up with Tony.
Use that.
You can put Glover's name on the donation.
But anyway, I want to make a motion that we allow them to take the money out of the fund.
I'll second that.
Appropriate? Additional appropriation.
Additional appropriations, yeah.
Additional appropriation. Do we have to advertise a different additional appropriation?
It's additional appropriation.
It has to be, well, we're going to have several of those tonight, so.
Amy's got a long
Okay.
list.
So, I have, wait a second.
What was that
I
total?
have I have a motion and a second to approve. It's $3,423.22.
No, $3,433.22.
Oh, 33.22. And to allow
Mr. Decker to use that to take care of Safety Town. Are there any other questions or comments? Subject to being advertised, an additional appropriation being advertised. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. I have a question, Scott. When we do additional appropriations, it seems like we used to make the motion to do the advertisement, and then after the advertisement passed, it had to be brought back to the council, and then we approved the additional appropriation. And I think I kind of like doing it that way, instead of doing it all in one motion. Okay.
Emergency like we did, like this is an emergency, but,
Right.
you know, even if
With
and
Mr.
it's not,
Hosey.
this still has to come back. After
Yeah,
it's
okay.
advertised, this still has to be formally on.
Once it's
Right,
advertised.
okay, once it's advertised, it needs to come back.
It does need to come back.
And make sure you save the advertisements in the paper.
It has to be advertised at least 10 days.
Sounds good.
Okay,
We'll
Mr.
have to come back to us.
Okay, Mr.
You are wearing me out. On one of the mayor's lists for projects that he wanted to approve through redevelopment, I know there's been a lot of discussion via the council and redevelopment. I think it's called South Side Road at Veterans Parkway. And that's the road that runs by Southeast Christian Church up behind the old Beef O'Brady's. And I know that the development is requiring or asking for that road to be done. I know that in the mayor's list, gosh, probably 6-8 weeks ago, it was on there. We did not approve that particular project. And what I would like to do is see where the council is on trying to approve that road. Then we send it back to redevelopment, and it's up to them to...
I think we agreed to it, I just don't think we voted.
We never voted on it.
And to be fair, I was going to talk in council comments about several other projects that I need to be putting on a resolution, and that was one of them.
Well, do you want to hold it up then?
Yeah, if you want to
And put
wait,
it- That's
we can
fine.
talk about it
That's
then.
fine. I just wanted to call the attention to it.
Okay. Josh Rodriguez.
Can you
Oh,
do it
please
any
don't
good?
do that.
Hey, I'd like to invite everybody for August the 6th, 2012, to National Night Out. So if you would write that down. Mike Smith, I bet you got about 5 or 6 stops in your district. And the at-large people, you're more than welcome to come to Terrace and Park Place if you don't have a home. So last year we came, and well, let me introduce myself. I'm Josh Rodriguez. I'm chairman for JNLA, which is the Neighborhood Association, Homeowners, and Neighborhood Groups Coalition. We currently are in the process of tax exempt status on part of your guys' funds you gave us last year. So we're back to start planning National Night Out again, and we need some funds. Last year you gave us $6,000. So we're going to request $6,000 again. We do have a private donation of $2,500, but we're looking for about 30 neighborhoods, so that'd be a growth of 7 new neighborhoods. So that's why we're here, and we do have probably more than half of the audience is JNLA members, if they would stand. So,
Thank you all for being here.
so that's why we're here. We did a presentation last year, and I've been a little busy, so I didn't put anything together because everybody here should know what it is. And so we would appreciate your help. We're,
Gaming
last year.
Gaming.
Yeah, I think Clarence Hall's, the years before when this was originated, put this together, and then last year, of course, Clarence wasn't here, and really, we didn't have anybody to drive it, so the council came up with the $6,000. I think at that time, Tony Burns had a list of T-shirts and banners and so on and so forth, and that's where the $6,000 came from, and we gave it to JNLA, which is Jeffersonville Neighborhood Leadership Alliance, which is basically all of the different neighborhoods together, and they actually ordered the T-shirts, the banners, and anything else, and distributed them among the different neighborhoods. So basically, we did the money, we took the money out of gaming revenue, and then the JNLA actually did the legwork and distributed it that. So that's why last year was the first year for the council before it was through...
And I wanted to add, Joe and I have been in many conversations. We're going to try to do some cost-effective savings this year around like the banners. They're not going to have dates, a specific date, year to date. We're going to
I did look that up. We can't copyright their banners, so it is really a good price on the banners to buy their banners. But maybe, you know, I think if you're going to, those T-shirts are one-timers. You're going to wear them once. Ed Seward has his on tonight. We like to thank Ed.
Wears that about every 3 days a week.
And, you know,
And his Port Fulton shirt.
there you go, representing, you know. But maybe if we could do something that says, you know, Port Fulton supports National Night Out, and something that they can keep wearing instead of the one time a year. We are going to have a meeting on Father's Day, and we're sorry for that, all the fathers in neighborhoods, to figure out what exactly we can do to make it a little bit more Jeffersonville, like Nathan had commented on last year. So, you know, we want to do that. We want to definitely pull in a lot more people. Claysburg is our biggest neighborhood. They pull in the most people, and so that's good. And we want the other neighborhoods to pull in as much as they do. So, you know, every neighborhood is different, and so we got to find out what those specific needs are for each neighborhood and get those in. Mine's a little 65 and older, so you know, personally, our neighborhood's working on some kind of bluegrass band or something to pull them in. You know, something, you know, no rock and roll or anything like that, or rap music, but something that they would like. So we're going to have that meeting on the 16th and see what they want. So we wanted to come in before you guys and see how much money we could get before we tell them how much they can spend.
With the growth that you've seen, is the 6,000 going to be enough?
Well, I think it will be. We're going to get that private donation from for $2,500. I've also applied for a grant. I don't know if we'll get that grant in time for National Night Out this year, but we'll apply it for next year. And then next year, it takes about 6, 7, 8 months to get your tax exempt status. Once we do that, we'll be able to do some fundraising, and hopefully we won't have to come back in front of you. And we'll be able to do that on our own. So we've got a couple ideas that we're shooting for, and you know, so I think 8,500 is going to be plenty.
I make a motion, we give them the 6,000 out of gaming. I think that's where it came from last year.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to take $6,000 out of gaming to give it to JNLA for National Night Out. Any other questions or comments?
Well, the motion needs to be...
Oh, subject to,
Additional.
okay, it's subject to the advertisement. Okay, it has to be advertised. Amy, you getting all this? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
Thanks.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
We've got to get down those additional appropriations. Yeah, because it's not been taken
You're
out.
sitting right there in the front row, and I didn't even see you. It's like, where did that go? He's next.
But if next year, if we put a budget
Yeah.
under gaming for...
Any comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, Matt, come on.
Rolling.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we were talking. Yeah, you're right.
So we wouldn't have to do it.
Right.
No more?
Right.
Bubs out.
Right.
Be fast, don't be that.
That's a problem.
All right, evening, everybody. I'm here to discuss the animal shelter sign. A few months back, the city council had asked me to design a sign that would be at the location of Beach and Spring Street, where the current location is. That sign is a little bit dilapidated and out of code, according to your ordinance. So with that, I was in contact with Sarah Green, who is, I don't think, a part of the city anymore. Moved on. But also with Connie and Lisa, the council, design sign. We've gone through several different design options. What you see here is what we kind of came up with. It works with the code. I've talked it over with Shane Corbin, the director of planning. So it is it does work with the ordinance. You still have to get it. You still have to get the building permits to build the sign. But what it is, it's a concrete-based sign along here. Nice stone veneer with some metal verbiage on there. City seal. To add a little bit of spunk, the council had asked to throw in a pointer dog showing the direction to the actual shelter.
I thought that was a good idea. Yeah.
So that you could actually find your way.
Which end's pointing?
Have a little slogan, save a life and die. So that's what we came up with. Since that time, they asked me to come up with a price. So I asked a local contractor to price this out. They came up with $14,000, which includes labor and material for concrete, masonry, and signage. This is just the construction. So you can see it's a pretty substantial sign, large concrete base. It's not going to be going anywhere. The stone veneer is just on the outside. So it'd be a big step up from what you have now. It's a really nice sign.
And I hear everybody going, oh, I can't believe this, but I want you to know, when people come before planning and zoning and they have to put signs up in front of their businesses and we make them do it, they do the same thing, because that's what we make everybody
I will
else
say
do.
that last Friday, a temporary sign went up. I got a call Thursday night from, what was it, Miss Hilton?
No,
And she had to have the grass cut at 7 o'clock next morning, so I said, Sharon, why are you calling me? But we got the grass cut for her to put the new sign up, and she knew that it would be moved. She knew everything. She paid for the sign, so anyway.
And what she said is that as if you put a permanent sign up there, that's fine. I'll just move the sign, or if you guys can move the sign back further.
By the bridge.
Because a lot of people get confused down that road because
you can't see the
the
shelter.
building, and you're not, if you've never been there before, you're not sure if you should keep going forward or should be looking around.
Is that, on that first view you had, is that, it might be a little deceiving, but is that clear enough when the cars pull out that they can look?
It'll need to be located in, this is a very general location. It needs to be sited in the field. There's a utility easement that Shane and Andy helped me find, so it'll be located somewhere in that easement, and it will definitely have to be located out of the view shed.
That sign is going to would be an obstruction if you're not careful, because of the size of the sign.
As a note on here, it says location to be confirmed in the field by project architect or City of Jeffersonville.
Okay.
So, it will definitely need to be located Andy would probably be the best person to ask where it should be located, so it's not in any view shed.
What was the height of it? Do you remember? Did it show?
Yes.
Above grade?
3 feet 10, so almost 4 feet.
Okay.
That, I believe Julius was going to donate some plants to go surrounding.
I heard a rumor.
I heard a rumor, that's all I heard. But yeah, it's a little bit taller, so some plants could go on around it and dress it up a little bit on the base.
So what do you exactly need from us?
I was just asked to present.
Oh.
Well, we need approval so we can get moving on the sign, and it needs to be funded.
Amy, do we have recommendation, 14,000 from, do we have it in the animal shelter fund anywhere?
No, I can tell you it's not.
I mean, it's there, just have to figure out where.
You gaming, you read it again?
Yeah. Make the motion to start the appropriation process, the advertising
Thank
for
you.
the additional appropriation for the dollar amount to come out of gaming.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second for advertising for the animal shelter sign to come out of gaming. Are there any other questions?
Just one quick comment, and Mr. Smith brought this up. This is a county-wide shelter, so maybe we can ask for, see if anyone wants to donate their proportion of the sign from the different cities throughout the county.
If I'm the county or Clarksville though, and this says City of Jeffersonville, just pointing that out.
If you need to.
That's a good question. Should it say City of Jeffersonville? I mean, I hate to...
If you're paying for the sign, I'd put my name on it.
All right, well, I strike that idea then.
All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, motion carries.
Okay, we're going to still have Pappy again. Ms. Phillips?
She says finally.
Hi. I think you all have the 2013 tax abatement report. This is current. It's for the tax abatement forms that were due May 15th. So I'm just asking you all to approve that these companies are in compliance and that they can continue to receive their tax abatements.
Now, this is new. This is not the backdated ones that we did
Right,
last
this is
time, correct?
I'll make a motion to approve 2013 R16.
I have a motion and a second to approve Resolution 2013 R16. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Amy. Do we have, Kelly, do we have to sign all those things again?
We can discuss it. It's a much easier way to do it.
Yeah, I know. I think we figured that out last time, yeah. Thank you, Kelly. Okay, what's next? Because I lost
Amy.
mine. Oh, Amy. Miss Deering.
Motion to
Okay.
table.
Well, I would like to talk about for a second. This is the additional appropriation, and it has not been advertised, right? Correct. So do we need to make a motion to advertise this tonight, or do you want to wait?
I think the plan is, based on what's occurred here tonight,
Okay.
at the next meeting, you will have a resolution, all
All
with
of them.
these, and with what you've done tonight, the resolution to advertise. So once you adopt that resolution, we'll advertise and then come back. then we'll
Okay.
work.
May I add to that, since this has to do with city court? When we did our budget, and I've talked to Amy about this, when we did our budget, we voted that the city would pay 51% because it says that it can be supplemented for the probation officers from the PUF funds, but the whole thing cannot come from PUF. So we decided the city would pay 51%, 49% will be coming from PUF funds, so that needs to be figured in there.
For the probation officer.
For the probation officers.
Well, and Connie,
Additional, you do additional then out of.
It just has to come out general.
remember Annie brought to your attention that we have to appropriate money for the sidewalks for Visiting Park?
Oh, yeah. Did we do that? Is that one on here? It's on here. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Amy, what is the Telestaff Chronos?
That's the timekeeping.
That we had talked about last time.
All right, I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut Matt off.
I made the motion to table. Second.
Have a motion and a second to table ordinance 2013 OR. What is the number going to be on it? Okay.
What was it?
15. Any other questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Was there any public comment?
No, I think that was just Josh.
Oh, Josh, okay. Okay, all right. Council comment, I will start with Mr. Samuel.
No comment.
Mr. Owens.
What? We're starting on this side?
Yeah.
Shaking it up a little bit.
Do you have any comments?
I'm not
And you're like that,
prepared.
just didn't start with, but then I
I don't have any
confused.
comments
I wouldn't
either.
remember who I was.
Wow,
Yeah.
go, keep going.
No?
No.
Mr. Julius?
I just wanted to mention one thing.
Usually everybody reminds me of what I was going to say.
There was an article in the paper, a story in the paper, guess it was one day last week, and it was about the boat docks downtown, and the mayor was asking if he's going to need council support on that. And in the same article, Mr. Merkley had said that they are dealing with a do-nothing council. Today, Mr. Merkley apologized for making that statement to me, and I'm assuming that he did to others. But I wanted to clarify just a couple of things. One is, when we get something proposed to us, like the boat docks, it's up to us as a fiscal body to run the numbers, to decide if it's feasibly possible, and to talk to our constituents to see if it's something that they want done. The other thing that I think the council does a very good job at is our due diligence. For instance, we try and find out what the rental percentage is of other boat dock or other marinas under something like that. We talk to the boaters and we try and talk to the constituents in the city people that we represent to get a feel for, is this something important? So it's not that we don't like the mayor, it's not that we don't like working with the mayor, it's nothing like that. If a project is brought in front of us, it's our job to do the due diligence to weigh that project and see if it has merit and value for our citizens. Because we're the ones that ultimately have to come up with a way to pay for it. Be it redevelopment, be it parks, or however we're going to justify paying for it. I do appreciate Les apologizing. That takes a big person, and we all have to do that sometimes. But I don't think that it's fair when we're trying to do our job to classify us as a do-nothing council, because you cannot imagine how many hours we put into the due diligence of studying all these projects. And it is amazing. And then to be categorized like that, it is offensive. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I did notice that they're moving a lot of houses downtown, and it's kind of exciting to see. So we know the bridges are coming. I know a few of us council people went to the bridge, I don't know what, the commencement ceremony, I guess. It was pretty exciting. You could stand on the ridge and see the thoroughfare and the cut through from Indiana to Kentucky. It was pretty enlightening. So that's all I have.
Mr. Glover?
Only thing I'd add is I do want to thank Sharon Hilton for her time and effort she put into getting the sign made for the J.B. Ogle Museum. She was, or museum for the animal shelter. She is very passionate about the place, and she would be the first one to tell you that she is not wealthy, but she is generous. And she did, I think she did a great job, and she's tenacious. So that's all I'll say.
Councilperson Gill?
On Friday morning, I know Connie and I attended it, we had with the Lieutenant Governor, Sue Ellspermann, we had a listen and learn session for elected officials, and it was very, very well received. It was all of us at the table. We got to discuss things that was going on in the county, and Sellersburg, Parksville, and Jeffersonville. We got to discuss with the state the weaknesses and the strengths of our city and what the state can do to help us. Or sometimes the state just needs to get out of the way. But I can't thank the Lieutenant Governor enough for coming and allowing us to have that conversation with her, and the state's they're really stepping up to help us, and I appreciate that. Another one was over the weekend. We had Crusade for Children, and the Jeffersonville Fire Department, along with the gracious and the contributions of the community, raised $32,000. So I wanted to applaud them for that, and the community for stepping up and supporting the Crusade for Children. And lastly, I just wanted to bring up, when our attorney says that a fund certain funds can't be paid out of a non-reverting fund or whatever, and you got state statute, you got ordinances to back it up, I'm going to sit back and I'm going to say, okay, it had nothing to do with trying to pull anything without the judge knowing it. It has nothing to do with trying to take away with what he needs for his court. It's just me as a council person making sure that things are appropriated that needs to be appropriated, and things are being paid out of funds and to be in compliance with state statutes. So I just wanted to clear that up, and if he took it the wrong way, I apologize. I don't know how that all came about, because that was not the intention, and that's all I have.
Councilperson Stovny, Councilperson Smith?
I'm going to briefly read a letter for the record. This discussion is about the marina. The lady's name is Elizabeth Theemster Wolf. She did, I think Connie earlier, did get permission from her to put this on the record. It says, "Dear council members, my name is Beth Wolf, and my husband Tom and I are long-time property owners and city dock tenants of Jeffersonville. As both taxpayers and dock tenants, we are very concerned about the fluctuating proposals at the docks. I'm writing to you as the head of the City Council, as a council representative for the Waterfront District. First, let me say that I and other dock tenants am excited to have the opportunity to serve the committee suggested at the Mayor's Conference, May 17th meeting, with dock residents and other interested parties to discuss redevelopment of the waterfront. It is an opportunity to be part of shaping the future of the waterfront and sharing the knowledge we have gained of the river and her varied and destructive capabilities from our decades of individual experience with her. The 6 members from the docks are to have an organized meeting of the committee at the mayor's office on Tuesday the 4th, 2013. It is because this meeting is Tuesday I am writing the 2 of you. I watched the mayor's press conference online and have read a number of articles and seen news reports concerning it. I am concerned, frankly, that we may be trying to encourage the council to vote to approve this plan at the council meeting, which would have been this Monday evening, before the committee even formed. I personally believe that such a vote would be premature, as there is insufficient amount of planning and knowledge at this point on which to base a financial commitment. This letter is a vastly abbreviated list of my concerns. I'm not speaking for anyone but myself, but I know that many others have similar concerns. In March, and as late as the last 2 weeks ago, dock tenants were told that we were all to be evicted and that there was no feasible way for anything else to happen. Now, thankfully, the mayor has said the project will be phased in, and we are important that our needs are vital. 2 weeks ago, and still in the picture shown at the press conference, the marine was to be floating docks, which most people with knowledge of the open water will tell you they were not functional or practical alternative. We now hear that the experts, quote unquote, are to be consulted on whether docks should be floating or fixed, which have dramatically differed from construction and maintenance cost. The mayor has quoted saying the project is shovel-ready, yet as of May 17th, no proposal or permit application had been submitted to the Army Corps of Engineers. It is required before a project can commence and is a project which can take 6 months or more. Neither Kentucky nor the Army Corps of Engineers have been approached for consent to build a 200-foot floating fishing pier into the navigable waterway in a location controlled by Kentucky. To the best of my knowledge, no one had contacted Jeff Boat, corporate citizen, employer, and neighbor on the waterfront to see if it is opposed to the infringement of its navigational space. No plans have been finalized. I do not believe there is any viable information about the true cost or functionality of the floating fishing pier or other proposals we have seen. The engineer acknowledged at the May 17th meeting that no analysis has been performed on the river depth or depth of bedrock in the area proposed the floating pier. That means to me there is no way to ascertain any necessary length of supporting piers needed for the fishing pier. Likewise, he admitted that no calculations had been performed to ascertain the diameter and construction material needed to withstand the pressure of the water and massive islands of drift in high water. Without knowing the length and diameter and material of the pilings needed to support a floating fishing pier, it seems impossible to know the cost of one. Further, the engineer stated at the meeting when asked if he knew if others like the proposing floating pier exist and function environments like the Jeffersonville waterfront, he had no experience with the river and had only seen a picture of one on the internet. It seems speculative at best to say that this $2 million project with the amount of the unknowns currently present. I believe the floating marina behind Towhead Island across from Jeffersonville was in the neighborhood of $10 million. In addition, there are numerous of other unknowns, from potential maintenance and liability insurance costs for the city to the unproven nature of some of the designs tendered thus far and how practicalities like water and electricity are to be addressed. My point is straightforward. I believe there are too many unknowns and potential pitfalls for the council to vote for any plan at this point. It is premature. I'm not opposed to improving the appearance or stability of the waterfront. I would welcome improvements at work and believe there are a lot of things that can be done to stabilize the hillside and improve the appearance and function of the waterfront that do not involve so many speculative, unproven, or potentially costly options. Finally, I feel compelled to note that the mayor continues to talk about a dilapidated appearance of docks and debris. The truth is, the vast majority of dilapidated docks are unrented ones that the city has not demolished or cleaned up. Debris is constant on the river, and unoccupied docks keep it cleaned up. Debris accumulates in unoccupied docks where the city takes no action to remove it, but just waits for the next high water to take it away. The negligence does not fall on the tenant but the landlord. And of course, she thanks you for reading this. I think the big part of the marine, and that was one of the issues I want to address with Pro Media, was the fact if you're going to have a press conference, and I'm going to speak for myself because it's in my district, if you're going to have a press conference, I will do anything I can to be present at that conference, at that press conference. I was not informed. I knew nothing about it. I don't know if any of the council knew about it, about this press conference. But to say in a press conference that the council is not working, or to push us into a decision on something like this is taken very well out of context. All these questions that Ms. Wolf had asked, and she was at the meeting, and I don't know the lady, but everything that she has mentioned is true. We have not done any sampling as far as drilling down into the silt, the dirt, or the rock bed to find out what we have there. We don't know. And until we know that, we won't know what type of piers it will take to actually hold, whether it's the fishing pier or the docks. I think some of you may have been here earlier when we talked about the police department building. Here we're talking about spending $11 million, and we don't even know what's in the ground to hold it up. And that was what we talked about, getting in there with a backhoe and digging to try to find out what's there. These are some of the concerns. So, and I said earlier, you know, I'm not speaking for the entire council, but I know the majority of the council feel that we need to do something with the riverfront. There's no question about it. However, keep in mind that most of that drift and debris you see down there currently is the city's responsibility. It's not the property, it's not the boat owner. The boat owner can move the drift away from their dock, but anything from the where the water meets the land and up is responsibility of the city, and what you see down there basically hasn't been cleaned up. So there's a lot of questions. I think this council really wants to get on board and support this project, and there's a lot of good questions, and I think until these questions can be answered and the initial cost, I think we talked about earlier, we talked a little bit about our consolidation with the Clark County Soccer Association, and we had an awesome project, but because of the earthwork that needed to be done and the dirt that needed to be done that's going to be brought in, our project went up $1.8 million over a projected cost. Now, the first thing we have to do is we took and we denied all the bids, and we're basically starting over because we can't afford that. I wish we could, but we cannot afford that. This is a similar project. You can't build this for $2 million. And so we don't even know yet today what the fishing pier is going to be constructed of. Is it going to be floating? Is it going to be stationary? Nobody knows, and I've asked the engineer. Are the docks going to be stationary or floating? I've asked the engineers. We don't have enough parking now for what we have. If you have 60-something docks at 2 vehicles per dock, that's over 120 automobiles, and that doesn't include any visitors. So we're trying to condense a lot of stuff on a very small few city blocks of riverfront, and it's an awesome facility because I have a dock there. This is my first year being back in boating. I haven't been in boating in quite a few years. But I think, again, I'm not speaking for the council, the entire council, but I think absolutely something needs to be done. We need to stabilize a bank. We're losing our bank every day. We're losing trees. There's a lot of things that we're losing that needs to be addressed. There's no question about it. But I think the council will definitely get behind this project once we find out the costs and we can actually look at, I don't want to look at a picture that's got blue water, because first of all, the river's not blue, but all these pretty pictures of a conceptual drawing. I want to see grade. I want to see the mechanics of this project. So I wanted to read this letter to get it in the minutes. Everything she said is right on. And anyway, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I was going to talk about that as well, because I didn't know about a press conference until I received a phone call from, not Braden, even though I did receive one from him later, but from the TV media. And I said I didn't know about a press conference, and so when you're blindsided, it makes it difficult to know what was said and what was going on. So I think that's very unfair. If there's going to be a press conference, we need to know about it, especially if we're going to be addressed as being the people who are the problem. I will agree with Mike. We met with redevelopment, and Les, you might remember, about a month ago or so when we had the joint session, and one of the things I said on my way out the door, because I had to leave, was I support the marina. We need to do something down there, but I do not know if it's the project, if it's going to be what the plans that they had laid out, because we were concerned about maintenance. We don't know if the pier's even going to be allowed, because it does extend into Kentucky waters, and it's 200 feet. I mean, there are so many unknowns with this, and it's not that we just don't want to do it. I'm not willing to say we're going to give the go-ahead and spend money that we don't have, and that we're going to pass these on to our residents and taxpayers in the future until we know for sure. So anyway, on another regard, I met with Scott today, and I asked him to work on a resolution, because there are some things that we can, and I've been in contact with Mr. Merkley as well, that we can go ahead and approve that we've already agreed on. One of them is Allison Brook Park. The mayor has stated, I know that one of the reasons they were not working on that was because they had not gotten the permits from IDEM because of the pond. The mayor has agreed to remove the pond from that park. And I think that when I spoke to most people, they were receptive to going ahead with that venture. However, on all these that I'm going to express, I'm going to insist that all the plans must be, since this is redevelopment, I want redevelopment to see the plans, because when Jamie Lake sat in here and said that as a redevelopment commissioner, he had not seen the plans for the police department, that's very disturbing. And they have to approve the bonds. So in this, Scott, if somehow we can add that redevelopment has to be made aware of all the plans. They have to see them. They have to vote on them. They have to approve them as well. It should not just, I don't know who's doing it, but it has to go through the redevelopment board, and they need to be made aware of them. Another one was the South Road. I was going to include that on Veterans Parkway. And the other one was a resolution on 10th Street, which I think that in the meeting that we had with redevelopment, we were in agreement to take that up to 2016, up to the time that the funds that we currently have run out, because we're hoping that there will be other federal funds available. And I know that Kathy Eaton had informed you all at a meeting that there might be some funds available in a different pot, not KIPTA. So we want to try to get as much of that as we can. If there are any other projects that you all want to add or considering added, please email Scott, but keep us all in the loop so we can know what's up.
So you're going to bring that next council meeting?
I would like that next council meeting. Also, the resolution, which somehow didn't get put on because I wanted it on last time, about how much we want to fund for the police. I think we're at about 250, is about $250,000 out of Lloyd to help with the police station bond. So,
No, I was going to bring it up.
yeah, we brought it up at the last meeting. Yeah. Oh, there's something else going on.
Scott,
Okay.
You didn't do a resolution for the South Street, South,
No, not that one.
okay.
No,
Well,
we can just include all those together.
He can know that, or that they can know that we're in favor of it.
My concern is, I know redevelopment meeting, I think this Wednesday, and then they don't meet for another month.
No, don't hold me to this. This week's meeting's technically the meeting for May. I'm but I'm assuming they're going to meet again at the end of this.
Yeah. I want to see the resolution before it's passed. I want to see something in writing. I don't want to do it just by word of mouth. I will not vote for that. Support that.
It's going to be Allison Brook, 10th Street, South Side,
A Veterans Parkway, I don't know what it's
And
called.
police headquarters.
No, police headquarters is already done,
That'll be separate.
yeah.
That's the amount we're going to take from
no.
Lloyd.
Right. Yeah, oh, I see what you're saying, yeah,
So it'll
Lloyd.
be, then it'll be Southside 10th Street, Johnson Brook, it'll be
Right.
on one resolution.
Right.
Okay.
Is that all?
And that's all.
Motion to adjourn.